The illusion of honor. Imagine standing in a narrow street of medieval Kyoto. The wind is cold. The air smells of smoke and blood. A samurai walks toward you. His sword is still in its sheath, but everyone knows the truth. In feudal Japan, the sword never slept. One wrong word, one wrong glance, and your life could end before you even realized you were in danger. We are taught that samurai lived by honor, that they were noble warriors who protected the weak. But the real world of the samurai was darker. Honor was not kindness. Honor was obedience, and obedience often meant cruelty. For a samurai, mercy was not a virtue. Discipline was loyalty was. Fearlessness in killing was. The battlefield was not a place for romance. It was a factory of death, where hesitation meant disgrace, and disgrace meant suicide. The legends show us heroes. History shows us survivors who learned to silence their conscience. Chapter 2. The Smell of War. A samurai before battle did not smell like cherry blossoms. He smelled like decay, armor was heavy, iron plates tied with silk cords, soaked in sweat, blood, and rain. Weeks could pass without removing it. Soldiers slept in it, ate in it, sometimes even relieved themselves in it. The smell of rot became part of war. But the samurai turned even this into a weapon. Before combat, many rubbed fermented soybeans, onions, and garlic into their armor. Not for protection, for terror. The stench traveled before the army arrived. Enemies felt sick before they even saw a blade. Veteran warriors were known not only by scars, but by odor. The stronger the smell, the longer the man had survived. Chapter 3. Love without rules. In modern eyes, love has boundaries. In feudal Japan, it had none. Among samurai, relationships between warriors and their young apprentices were common and respected. These bonds were not hidden. They were written in poetry, praised in songs, and accepted by society. A boy of 13 could become not just a student, but a companion to his master. Samurai believed that love for women weakened a warrior. It created fear of loss, but love between warriors was seen as strength. Two men ready to die together, to stand side by side in battle without hesitation. Famous generals had male lovers. Monks practiced the same traditions in temples. It was only when Western missionaries arrived that Japan learned this kind of love was called a sin elsewhere. The samurai were confused. For them, loyalty mattered more than labels. Chapter 4. The Art of Dying. Death for a samurai was not an end. It was a performance. Seppuku was not simple suicide. It was a ritual of agony and discipline. The goal was not speed. The goal was courage. A true samurai did not cry out. He did not scream. He endured pain to prove his honor was stronger than his body. Even in modern times, this tradition echoed. In 1970, writer Yukio Mishima performed ritual suicide in front of soldiers after a failed political protest. The world was shocked. Japan was silent. For many, he had not died in madness. He had died as a samurai. Chapter 5. Women of the blade history tried to erase them, but they existed. Onobugeisha, female warriors, trained with naginata and bows from childhood. When men went to war, women defended castles. They fought bandits. They protected children. One of them was Tomo Gozen. Chronicles describe her as fearless, skilled in archery, deadly on horseback. In one battle, surrounded by enemies, she charged forward alone, killed the opposing commander, and returned with his head. Then she vanished from history, becoming legend. Archaeology later proved what stories hinted at. Skeletons from ancient battlefields revealed that many fallen warriors were women. They had died not behind walls, but on the front lines. Chapter 6. The Soul in Steel. A katana was not just a weapon. It was identity. A swordsmith could spend a year forging a single blade, folding steel again and again, mixing soft and hard metals, heating, cooling, shaping, until the sword became both flexible and deadly. A samurai valued his sword more than his home. Losing it was worse than losing a wife. Wives could be replaced, a legendary blade could not. Some swords were so famous that clans went to war over them. Today, those blades rest behind glass in museums. But once, they decided the fate of men and nations. Chapter 7. Children of Blood. In feudal Japan, childhood was short. At 5, samurai boys trained with wooden swords. At 7, many were given real ones. Some were forced to kill prisoners to prove they could do it without fear. There were no games, no innocence, only preparation for death. Girls trained too, learning how to defend their homes, and if captured, how to take their own lives quickly to avoid disgrace. In a world where survival was uncertain, every child was raised to accept death as a companion. Chapter 8. The Lie of the Sword movies show samurai dueling with katanas. Reality was different. The true weapon of the samurai was the bow. Mounted archers dominated battlefields for centuries. Most enemies died without ever seeing the face of the man who killed them. Statistics from Japan's greatest wars reveal the truth. Most deaths came from arrows and spears. Swords killed the fewest. The katana became a symbol later, during times of peace, when samurai turned into officials instead of fighters. That is when romance replaced reality. Chapter 9. Hunger without honor. Sieges turned warriors into animals. When castles were surrounded and food vanished, samurai ate horses, then leather, then rats. And when nothing remained, they ate the dead. Chronicles speak quietly about cannibalism. Not in horror, not in judgment. Just as fact, survival came before dignity. Bushido spoke of honor, but hunger speaks louder than any code. Chapter 10. The Last Stand. The samurai did not fade away. They were crushed by time. When Japan modernized, swords were banned, privileges erased. Warriors became ordinary men overnight. Some adapted, others could not. Saigo Takamori chose to die as he lived, fighting. He led the final samurai rebellion against rifles and cannons. Thousands charged into machine gun fire, knowing they would lose. They were not fighting to win. They were fighting to prove that their way of life deserved a final chapter written in blood. Chapter 11. The Right to Kill. In feudal Japan, the sword was not only a weapon of war, it was a weapon of law. Samurai possessed a terrifying privilege called kirisute gomen, the right to kill and walk away. If a commoner insulted a samurai, looked at him wrongly, or failed to bow low enough, the samurai could cut him down on the spot. No trial, no questions, no punishment. A farmer could lose his life for standing in the wrong place. A merchant could die for speaking too loudly. Even children were not always spared. To be born a samurai meant you lived above the law. To be born anything else meant you lived beneath the blade. Chapter 12. The Price of Obedience. Samurai were not free men. They were loyal slaves in silk armor. From childhood, a warrior was taught one truth. Your life does not belong to you. It belongs to your lord. A daimyo could command a samurai to kill, to die, or to destroy his own family's future. Refusal was worse than death. Many samurai went to battle knowing they would not return. Not because they wanted glory, but because they had no choice. Loyalty was not love. It was obligation enforced by shame and tradition. A samurai who survived too long without dying for his lord was sometimes whispered about as a coward. Chapter 13. The Masks They Wore. Samurai were trained not just to fight, but to hide. A warrior learned to control his face before he learned to control his sword. No emotion, no fear, no regret. Pain was weakness. Tears were disgrace. Even when their children died, many samurai stood silent. Even when their homes burned, they bowed. Even when their wives were taken, they endured. Not because they were heartless, but because showing emotion meant surrendering control. And a samurai who lost control lost honor. Chapter 14. When brothers became enemies. Clan wars tore Japan apart for centuries. Samurai often fought men they had once trained with. Friends became enemies overnight. Loyalty to one lord meant betrayal of another. There are records of brothers killing brothers, fathers killing sons, not out of hatred, but out of duty. A samurai did not choose his battles. He obeyed them, and sometimes obedience demanded blood from those he loved most. Chapter 15. The Silent Assassins. Not all samurai fought on open fields. Some fought in shadows. They wore no armor. They carried no banners. They walked at night and killed without witnesses. These men were the hidden knives of the daimyo, sent to poison wells, burn granaries, assassinate rivals. History remembers generals, but empires were shaped by nameless men who killed quietly and disappeared before dawn. Chapter 16. Faith and the Sword. Many samurai turned to Zen Buddhism. not because they were peaceful, but because Zen taught acceptance of death. Meditation trained warriors to empty their minds so that fear could not live there. A samurai who feared death could not fight. A samurai who accepted death became unstoppable. Temples became places of training as much as prayer. Warriors learned to sit in silence, staring at walls, until the idea of dying felt natural. Chapter 17. When honor failed, Bushido promised a perfect path. Reality shattered it. Not every samurai was noble. Many abused peasants, many took bribes, many betrayed their lords when money was better elsewhere. Some warriors became bandits. Others became mercenaries who sold their swords to anyone who paid. Honor was an ideal, not a guarantee. Chapter 18. The end of the warrior world. When guns arrived, the samurai laughed. A sword was faster than a musket. A bow was more accurate than an early rifle. For a while, they were right. Then technology improved. Bullets replaced arrows. Cannons replaced courage. Suddenly, centuries of training meant nothing. A peasant with a rifle could kill a master swordsman in seconds. The battlefield no longer belonged to the brave. It belonged to the prepared. Chapter 19. The Fall of Pride. When the Meiji government abolished the samurai class, many warriors lost everything overnight. No swords, no stipends, no respect. Some opened schools. Some became police. Some drank themselves into obscurity. Others chose death, unable to live in a world where their title meant nothing. Chapter 20. What remains? The samurai are gone, but their shadow still walks beside Japan. In discipline, in respect, in silent endurance, but also in the scars of a past built on violence, hierarchy, and sacrifice. They were not gods. They were not demons. They were men, shaped by a brutal age that demanded brutality in return. Chapter 21. The warriors who couldn't let go. When the samurai lost their swords, many lost their identity. For generations, they had been taught that a man without a blade was nothing. Suddenly, the law told them their blades were illegal. Their status vanished overnight. Men who once commanded fear now stood in lines begging for work. Some became teachers, some became clerks. But inside, many still felt like ghosts, walking in a world that no longer needed them. The battlefield had ended, but the war inside them had just begun. Chapter 22. The Birth of the Modern Soldier. Japan did not abandon warriors. It transformed them. Former samurai became officers in the new imperial army. Their discipline shaped modern military culture. They traded armor for uniforms, arrows for rifles, and honor codes for military law. The sword left their hands, but not their hearts. Even in modern barracks, young soldiers were taught the same values: obedience, endurance, sacrifice. Bushido did not die. It changed its uniform. Chapter 23. The Myth Makers. As the real samurai disappeared, storytellers created new ones. Plays, novels, and later films painted warriors as perfect heroes, loyal, noble, gentle protectors of the weak. The brutal reality was softened. The blood was washed away. The cruelty faded into poetry. Japan needed legends. The world needed heroes. So the samurai became something they had never truly been: pure symbols of honor. Chapter 24. When the world discovered the samurai. In the 20th century, the West fell in love with the samurai. Hollywood created noble warriors who fought for justice. Books described them as philosophers with swords. Tourists visited castles searching for romance in stone walls built for slaughter. The samurai became global icons. Posters, movies, video games. Few remembered that these same warriors once ruled by fear, privilege, and steel. Chapter 25. The Code That Survived. Bushido no longer commands men to die for their lords, but its spirit still shapes lives. In Japan, workers stay late not because they must, but because they feel they should. Students study until exhaustion. Craftsmen repeat the same motion for decades, seeking perfection that may never come. This is modern Bushido. No swords, no blood, only silent sacrifice. Chapter 26. The Dark Inheritance. But every legacy has a shadow. The same discipline that builds excellence also builds pressure. The same loyalty that creates unity also creates silence. Many suffer quietly, believing endurance is virtue. The samurai taught Japan how to stand tall. They also taught it how to suffer quietly. Chapter 27. The final samurai spirit. Even today, in moments of crisis, the old spirit rises. When disaster strikes, people line up calmly. When tragedy comes, they bow instead of screaming. When defeat happens, they rebuild instead of blaming. This is not weakness. This is the echo of warriors who learned that dignity in suffering is its own form of victory. Chapter 28. Truth behind the legend. So who were the samurai really? They were not angels. They were not devils. They were human beings shaped by a merciless age. They loved deeply. They killed without mercy. They wrote poetry about nature and burned villages without regret. They lived in contradictions, and so does their legacy. Chapter 29. The meaning of honor. Today, honor once meant dying for your lord. Today, it means living for something greater than yourself. The battlefield has changed. The enemy is no longer a man with a sword. It is fear, laziness, indifference. The modern warrior fights a quieter war inside his own mind. Chapter 30. The second death. A samurai believed he died twice. The first time was when his body fell. The second time was when his name was spoken for the last time. As long as we remember them, their greatness and their cruelty, they live between history and legend. Not as perfect heroes, not as villains, but as reminders of what humans become when honor is placed above life. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, share, and comment.